today was a straight L for Cassie in court today. I'm talking, things went really bad. Today was one of those days where you could just feel the prosecution fumbling everything. It ain't looking good at all. You could clearly see it. Diddy's team was running circles around the prosecution. The DA was out there looking lost, like he wasn't ready for the big leagues. And of course, Diddy's got Steele leading the squad. Yeah, it's not even close. They outmatched, outclassed, and outgunned. Most of y'all probably first heard about Steele when he was cooking in that Young Thug case. Let's be real. Thug was guilty on a lot of that, but Steele, he had the prosecution looking like amateurs. Dude was so sharp he got a mistrial out of it. They were shook, buckled under pressure, and offered Thug a plea deal that had him walking out with no jail time, just a suspended sentence. That's how surgical Steele is with it. And now, Steele over there working his magic for Diddy. You see how Diddy holding on to that man like he found Jesus in the courtroom? That hug wasn't just love. That was save me please energy. Diddy knows Brian is his last lifeline. And so far, Brian's still putting on a masterclass. He's still out there treating the prosecution like amateurs, straight surgical. Whatever Diddy paying him, 5, 10 million, worth every penny. This man outthinking them in every direction. Diddy already had his lawyers lined up, but when Steele came in, the whole operation leveled up. First thing Diddy looked around and said, "Yo, who y'all got going at Cassie?" They pointed to the usual crew, white suits, white guys, stiff ties, and he wasn't having it. In my Remy Ma voice, "Are you dumb? You really gonna throw a gang of old white dudes at a young African-American woman in an SA case? That's how you get cooked." So what Brian do? He brought in 3 women, all SA survivors, to handle the cross. Great tactical move. And today, that decision paid off heavy. One of them had Cassie tripping up on the stand. And for the first time, Diddy didn't look like the monster in the room. Now, I'm not saying he's innocent, but Steele had him definitely looking a lot less guilty. That's the power of smart lawyering. Even though Cassie was technically being cross-examined by Diddy's lawyer, you wouldn't have been able to tell just by watching. They was literally sharing laughs during it. It didn't even feel like a cross. It felt more like a friendly combo. The lawyer wasn't pressing her, wasn't hitting her with the aggressive yes or no type questions. She was letting Cassie talk freely, and the way Cassie looked so relaxed, that played real smooth with the jury. Made Diddy's side look composed, respectful, almost empathetic. But don't get it twisted, this was still a cross-examination, and they walked out with some key wins. Cassie ended up admitting to a few things that actually helped Diddy's defense heavy. That moment was a win disguised as a friendly chat.
Time update, Cassie on the stand, her first day of cross-examination, and I don't want to say it's super intense because Diddy's lawyer, Anna Estevea, she's doing an amazing job at being very gentle. I mean, Cassie and her have exchanged a few laughs while she was on the stand, which I thought was pretty incredible. And additionally, there's a lot of explicit graphic text that we're seeing from Cassie to Diddy and vice versa. And Estevea is saying, look, if you don't want to read these, you don't have to, which I thought was really nice. Also, when Cassie answers and it's kind of a yes or no question, Estevea isn't like, it's yes or no. She's being very, very calm and very kind. Now, what we saw like right off the bat here was a conversation via BlackBerry between Diddy and Cassie about 2.5 years into their relationship. And remember, at this point, Cassie testified during direct that he had a her, she didn't want to do freak offs, you know, all this stuff.
Cassie's trafficking claims is the backbone of this case, but it's getting shaky. She says Diddy forced her, but you got escorts saying that she called the shots. And unfortunately, the texts are backing it up. She was asking for the wild stuff to keep Diddy close. From a courtroom angle, that doesn't scream victim, and it makes the whole story harder to sell. Now, Brian still cooked that security guard, got him up there looking goofy, caught him clout chasing, showing evidence to his wife, lying on reports. And after cross, nobody in the courtroom believed a word that he said. Now Cassie, she's the key witness. But when she's saying Diddy made her do certain things, and then texts are popping up where she asked for it, saying she missed the FOs, or thanking him and saying I love you afterwards, yeah, that presents a problem. Then you get the real kicker. She didn't stop the freaky stuff just because she felt violated. She gave a whole different reason. And if you want to know what that was, just watch the rest.
And I'm paraphrasing here. She also says at one point that, quote, she'd travel anywhere to be with him. And this is while they are discussing an FO in this one message, this BlackBerry message. Yeah, another big thing here is the drug talk and the opioid talk. So Cassie testified that Diddy told her he was addicted to opioids. And the defense is basically saying, well, did you see him try to get off these opioids or come down from them? And she said, yeah. And then they said, well, you know, that makes one volatile, angry. And again, I'm paraphrasing, but basically what they were alluding to is that Diddy's violent behavior and aggressive behavior and all of his mood swings that she talked about were because he was coming down from opioids. Let me make sure. I feel like I have so many notes from today. Yeah, again, a lot of graphic messages, mainly about Cassie saying how much she liked it after it happened. It was so good, and she's talking about FOs. Oh, something really big that they're trying to prove here. Cassie felt like she didn't have the words to relate to Diddy because she was so young that she didn't want to do this and yada yada, referring to the FOs. Well, we've seen a lot of messages from Cassie to Diddy that are paragraphs, let's say, explaining certain things to him, really seeming to wear her heart on her sleeve. At one point she said, look, I'm unsure about the FOs because I feel like, you know, before when we were doing them, and this is a few years into their relationship, she said, you know, before we were doing them, I could spend time with you after. Now we're doing them and you're leaving right away.
The Texas show Cassie wasn't dreading the FOs. She was into it. Her real issue was emotional. She wanted Diddy to stay after, cuddle up, act like her man. But instead he'd dip, and that's what had her feeling away. And unfortunately, that don't scream trafficking either. It just sounds like somebody who wanted more than what they were getting. And honestly, we doing this content right now, I'm still shocked that we gotta say FOs. Like, we really out here calling it FOs so the platforms don't flag our content. That alone probably tells you how messy this whole situation is. Now remember, I'm not defending Diddy. Bro's a foul dude. He put some vicious hands on her, and just for that alone, he should have been behind bars years ago. But once again, that ain't what they're charging him with. Coming after him for trafficking. And based on what we're seeing, it ain't adding up like that. Unfortunately, most people are scared to say it. But on this channel, you know I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
For work, and I'm not getting that time with you. So the defense is kind of like, well, it looks like she's able to communicate this stuff. And is it fair to say that this is the reason that you didn't want to do freak offs? Not everything that you testified yesterday. Again, don't get mad at me. I'm just explaining about what the defense's strategy seems to be and what they're going for. Oh, they also went into the fact that, look, you testified that it would take you days to come down from these FOs and you would waste so much time of your life trying to recover. You know, Diddy was doing the same thing. He was coming down from these too. You know, is it fair to say that he was still running a business, running running his own life, running Bad Boy Records and traveling here and there, basically saying, well, you know, he was fine. He didn't have to recover for days. That's your problem. Again, just some observations. Cassie doing a great job holding it together, so calm, so poised. And Anna Estevea, really great. I mean, a lot of defense attorneys can badger these witnesses and really come across unlikable to the jury. But like I said, they're sharing laughs. They, you know, she's not too aggressive. She's getting her point across without being a jerk. So I will give you guys more later.
Now look, it's gonna be real hard to prove trafficking when there's no text messages of her saying no. And unfortunately, all the escorts are testifying saying that she looked like she was with it. Now hold on, that doesn't mean that she wasn't doing it for Diddy's approval. But legally, I don't know if that's enough, especially when the texts say stuff like, I enjoyed it. When are we doing it again? And the worst text, can we do it more rougher next time? Go read it yourself. It's tough to say she wasn't down with it when her own words say otherwise. But hey, if you made it this far, click the left side of your screen to see why Diddy might have just been exposed for trying to put a hit out on Drake. And also, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share to be aware, put me in that algorithm because I need to be there, man. Because I know there's 10 other streamers out there doing it like me, but...
Fuck that little 10.